Hello, everybody. Welcome to another daily dose of gaming news and all that good stuff. And as always, I also publish on Rumble, Patreon, and anything else I usually go about on Twitter X. Yesterday, I did manage to publish another Death Stranding episode, and I will continue for the moment being doing 3 episodes per week until we wrap up this one. So Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And if I have time, I might try a demo here and there. I will have to see how that will go. Other than that, got already the completed gameplay series and all that jazz on the main page of the channel. Let's get going. Some interesting stuff here regarding AMD, and basically, I think it connects to a certain sense to UDNA, which is basically the new framework architecture between CPUs and oh my god, and GPU chips. I think a lot of it has to do more for them to investing in the APU side of things, but can basically scale or can be they can make a derivation of some sorts to DIY CPUs and GPUs there, and they did manage to supposedly solve the problem of the latency issues with the regarding multi-chiplet modules there. Again, there is some oh my god, I completely forgot what I wanted to say. Oh my god, patents. Jesus Christ, sorry about that. There is some patent filed from AMD addressing this issue. It seems, even though the thing here on the diagram seems to be more about the CPU stuff, I think they are managing to translate this for the GPU chips. Hopefully, this can be translated to RDNA 5 or the next upcoming GPU lineup there. There is no certainty regarding that. There are some rumors regarding Zen 6 there. Again, I'm still not sure how they are going to do everything there. Again, Zen 6, given that it is a provisionary title for the next generation of CPUs, it will still be on AM5. At least that's the perception that I got. Supposedly, they will have a lot more IPCs more clocks. It's going to be kind of an evolution from Zen 5, but I think what they're trying to do there is having the CPU side of things to be a little bit more um, less power consumption. Again, there is supposedly the node manufacturing is going to, I don't know, they're going to skip basically 3 nodes ahead. And that's why we are seeing a lot of crazy numbers coming out of Zen 6. That's why we're also been seeing more cores per CCD and all that jazz. It seems very interesting. Hopefully, there is something that can, if it is the last CPU that comes to AM5 platform, to be like a swan song kind of a thing there before they changing to the next one. Supposedly, it will come only probably by the end of next year, so we still have to wait a little bit there. But the thing here regarding the GPU side of things, they seem to have kind of fixed, supposedly, according to this patent stuff there, the situation regarding the multi-chiplet module stuff there, the issue that we have at this moment with RDNA 3, given that RDNA 4 is basically a monolithic die, so there is no MCMs there. Again, RDNA 3, again, it's the GPU that I have, the high end, the 7900 XCX. I'm pretty satisfied with what I have for the moment. But I think in terms of the specs and the such, it could have been a little bit better if they managed to, for example, solve the situation with the latency. Given that multi-chip modules, the latency is one of the bigger issues that needs to be solved, and supposedly they did manage theoretically solve this situation, what they called a data fabric circuit with a smart switch, which is basically Infinity Fabric, but scaled down for consumer GPUs since they cannot employ HBM, so high bandwidth memory dies there. Basically, it's kind of a switch that can optimize memory access by first comparing whether the request for a graphic test require test migration or data replication within nanoscale decision latency. Again, this basically it's a switch that is going to decide who has priority access to the memory. At least that's the perception that I got from what I'm reading here. Again, this supposedly can be scaled up, given that it's multi-chip manufacturing. Given that we are seeing some limitations on the monolithic dice in a certain way, and I think multi-chip can be something that, for example, what Intel was trying to do with the tile stuff, which is basically the same thing with a different name. And I think that can be something that we might see in a RDNA 5, hopefully, or the next one, UDNA, and if everything unified there and be, I don't know, um, be made specifically more. I think that their main focus again it's APU stuff there. When you have like a big thing that you can put different multi chips. Some of them belong to again. I think in terms of naming scheme, the tiles. I think it serves best as an illustration there to have different tiles within the space that you have for within the die, different tiles that can be placed like Legos, depending on what you're trying to achieve with that APU, which is basically an all-around computing unit. I think that the main thing is the latency stuff that can be solved. Again, supposedly with this solution that they managed to get around. Hopefully, it's something that it's going to take place in the next generation. Hopefully, specifically on the GPU stuff there. We saw there are still rumors regarding the GPUs from RDNA 4 that might launch. I don't know if they are waiting for anything regarding if NVIDIA is going to try the refresh lineup regarding the Super Series, having more memory and maybe some uplift in terms of performance to compete specifically more, I think, with the 9070 XT, which I think is selling pretty good comparatively with the 70 class cards from NVIDIA. There's where's the competition at, given that 5080s and 5090s again the price is too much for normal persons, but also on the lower end is, for example, NVIDIA can offer a little bit more VRAM to I don't know, reduce the, the margins in terms of competition and performance with AMD. But yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. Maybe they are, I don't know, planning to see if they can conjure up an RDNA for top of the line. I don't think so. Again, if they are selling well this 9070 XTs and given that that GPU performs relatively good even at 4K, and the fact that they are improving not only from drivers but also from gaming companies supporting, and also I again assume Windows updates that they are again everything seems to be aging a little bit better than NVIDIA counterparts in terms of uplifting performance and improving that on games. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I think we'll have better, I don't know, more details and a better notion of what they're going to do with the next generation by the end of this year, maybe, or probably on CES again. It's when the big announcement usually comes. But yeah, hopefully they can solve this situation specifically with latency on the MCM, so the multi-chip modules there, and hopefully it will translate in, I don't know, a huge jump in terms of performance. I don't know what they're going to do here, given that they are skipping like free nodes or something like that. They're going to jump the free nodes for the CPU side of things, so the Zen 6. I don't know if they're going to do something similar with the GPU. Given that it seemingly seems that the strategy with AMD, they are betting again not only with the AI accelerator stuff, which is basically where their main focus is, because they already have beginning to be way more competitive with NVIDIA regarding the AI accelerators with the MI 350s or whatever they are called there. Again, I'm not very in depth with the AI accelerator stuff there. Again, hopefully they can. There is some rumblings and rumors that they might be able to, even on the GPU side of thing, to experiment with the 3DV cache there. I don't know how that will influence performance on the GPU side of things. Again, there is a lot of stuff that they can do with this multi-chip modules there, hopefully can translate to a big jump in terms of performance, or at least be as competitive as they can with NVIDIA. Because again, check you on the big picture kind of a thing there for the company. Um, uh, uh, Indicates that they really want to compete with NVIDIA, go for the market share. We saw some moves here with the 9070 XT. Again, I think they're hitting a little bit on the revenue side of things, in the sense that they want to achieve more market share, so they try to be as competitive as they can with the, at least on the DIY market. I don't know if they are trying to reach for the mind share thing there a little bit more, but they are making some moves that, again, they are improving little by little. It's something that we not going to see like a huge revolution from one day to another. It's something that it needs to be strategized, and then tactically, in the sense of launching the products, they will need to be consistent on achieving that strategy, at least on the DIY market, of achieving more market share. And yeah, hopefully this patent and all that jazz, the this switch to reduce latency and all that jazz, can be really something that might give us normal consumers a little bit more extra juice in terms of performance from given from the CPU side of things, because this multi-chiplet or multi-CCDs CPUs, like the 99s, 9950s, which have two CCDs there, it has the connection of the Infinity Fabric also to for them to schedule the task and all that jazz. Again, we'll have to wait and see. But there seems to be all these rumors and information that we're getting. It seems to indicate that they are moving in the right direction. We just need to see if the execution of the strategy is going to pay off or not for us. In other stuff here regarding hardware, we got an NVIDIA 4060 Ti gets completely burned, including the backplate. Again, the 4060s, I think the lower ends, the black plate is plastic, so that's why it's completely burnt, because metal doesn't burn like this. Again, this is in conjunction with several things, at least from the post that the user made. Basically, he was uh, the computer caught on fire. um it not only burned the GPU but also the PCI slot there, power cables, but the backplate. As you can see here, the on the motherboard, even the plastic stuff there is completely burned out. You can see the PCI slot here, the batteries, and the board itself. Again, it's a shit show. Supposedly this happened while he was working at the dope design tools. The PC shut down abruptly, and he saw smoke coming out of the PC. To make again, something that he did do properly to mitigate the issue, the user decided to unplug all the cables, separate out the components to prevent further damage. Again, it's the right thing to do. The problem is here, I think one of them is the fact his system was using a refurbished motherboard. Again, I don't like very much refurbished hardware, because for them to be refurbished, they have to be used and have an issue. And yeah, we never know, specifically in such a complex piece of hardware like a motherboard, got a lot of components that can, if something goes wrong, you might not fix all of it. But yeah, it can be. Again, if it is a used component and it always work, again, I prefer that to a refurbished component. It's a risk that some people are willing to take. For me personally, I avoid at all costs something like that. But also by the fact that you use a completely bad GPU, a bad GPU, PSU, sorry. In this case was a Megamax 800 power supply. Again, when I selected my purchase of the PSU, I did went to the Cultist Network site. They have a PSU tier list. They are very uh, how do I say, they go about in a lot of details of what kind of PSUs you should buy or not, recommended or not, and they I think also there is another site that I completely forgot that has that do some tests. It's not about the gold tier or the platinum tier in terms of efficiency. They tested in different manner, in a more detailed manner, and give a good classification. And in this case, on the Cultist Network, which is one of the sites that I consulted when buying my PSU, this one was on a tier, which is basically to avoid, because supposedly it basically this kind of PSU was a ticking time bomb in many cases, since it often cannot handle power loads in case of fluctuations or abruptions, which is not good. PSU should be able at minimum deal with certain fluctuations or power loads because it's there for that specific case. But yeah, I think it's a conjunction of at least these two things here: a bad PSU and a refurbished motherboard, which I don't know if it has anything to do with that, but I think it's something to think about it. And basically, again, in the more demanding case of, I don't know, I think it's CPU loads, the dope stuff there. Uh, Wanted more power juice, or maybe through the doing some processing from the GPU side of things. Again, this thing burned to the ground, which is not good. Again, I always recommend taking a good look at reviews on all components, taking account again the budget that you have for the component itself. And in the case of PSUs, I think the Cultist Network is good site of reference to have a good idea what kind of PSUs you can choose. And they have a good tier list there. They have huge amounts and a huge variety of brands and wattages, and I think it's a good reference point specifically for PSUs. I think that, if I'm not sure if it is this cultist, how do they call it, cultist network, I think they have more tier lists of other components that they test around. But at least the PSUs is something that it's a very important component, given that everything that is powered is connected to the PSU. So it's one of those things. I prefer to spend a little bit extra and having a pretty trustful PSU that can handle anything, that any case of what I want to do with the PC, than to just try to save too much and then get a not so reliable or not so good PSU to handle everything that I wanted the PC to handle there in terms of power distribution. But yeah, always pay attention. Sometimes it's preferable to go around and spend a little bit extra time to do some investigative work to see if the component that you are thinking about buying is really that good or not. In terms of other stuff in games, we got the BioShock creator, so Ken Levine. Um, I think he did an interview and talking about his in new game, which is Judas. Again, we don't have basically any news regarding this game. The game, it doesn't have a launch date, but at least we get again. He maintained basically the premise of this game, even though it's been at least 8 years or so since they are start working on this game. Basically, what he's trying to do here is trying to arrange a new concept in terms of what he calls narrative Legos to be endlessly replayable, at least in theory, which is something very interesting. And I think that's why that it's taking a lot of time to try and get those founding blocks. So every time you play the game, after you finished, you have can have a completely different experience in terms, at least, of narrative, because this game is going to be a single player. And again, he referenced that he is at this moment very lucky that there is no demands from the publisher, which is 2K or Take Two Interactive. They are not forcing any live service elements with additional monetization like microtransaction, which all seems good. I just hope this game is good. Again, at the time when it came out, Bioshock was kind of revolutionary in the sense the way they told the story there, and the plot twists inherent on that story on the first game was very interesting. I remember playing that game, and kind of by the end, that plot twist at the end was very interesting what they did there. But yeah, hopefully he can deliver on this game. I'm following this game as best as I can, but again, we are not getting basically any news. Maybe given that it's been almost 8 years or so that the game is being in development, we might have anything regarding kind of any updates, official updates by the end of the year in the showcases, probably the Game Awards or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, he also made some comments regarding the industry and the fact that companies and publishers pressure a lot of game developer studios to introduce microtransactions or live service elements in their games. And he goes about that again. He's a kind of an old school guy, so his philosophy to a certain extent is when you develop a game, you deliver the full experience, and that's it. And people play the game, and they if they like it or not, it's up to them. But at least the full finished product is delivered like that. Even though in BioShock Infinite we got at least one DLC, but again, I think it was pressure from the publisher there. But yeah, his comments is he said, I think unwisely the industry has decided that you need all these elements again, all the microtransaction monetization schemes there. But if you look at the games that are really landed in in the past couple of years, they are games providing this, whether it's Baldur's Gate 3, Kingdom Come Deliverance, Clair Obscur, and Cyberpunk, and even The Witcher 3 Wild Hunts. Basically, the traditional single player games that don't have any kind of monetization on them. And again, it's basically what people want in the single player scene. People, again, the games are already expensive as it is, and it's not or it shouldn't be the burden of the customer in terms of financial burden to be burdened with the inflating production budgets that companies have been having. I don't know, in the last decade or so, they've been increasing in terms of budgetary problems there. We have, for example, even failed games. The one again, hammer on the head there with the Concorde. At least $400 million spent on the game that was 2 weeks live and then shut down. We got, for example, the case of the upcoming game GTA 6. Supposedly, the budget is already in the billions of dollars. Supposedly, again, there are cheaper ways and better ways to produce games. Um, Again, the fact that a lot of companies are deciding to let the production budgets go up because I think in terms of the corpus suits, think the more you invest, the more you will get out of that investment. I think it's a poor mentality in terms of long term thinking for specifically on games or any kind of media. We saw the same things with movies recently that there is movies cost in average a lot of the tentpole ones cost between 200 to 300-400 million dollars to produce. Then you're stuck in a place that you need to make almost $1 billion every movie. And sometimes again the product itself is not catered to a broad market share, and that conflates with the fact that increasing prices for the final product there, which is not good in the long term thing, because then people will start prioritizing and they will buy less for sure. Then you got other stuff here regarding the Callisto protocol devs. Supposedly the next project that they're working, even after all the how we call Schofield left the studio after Callisto Protocol came out. This is the same studio that came up with that. They were working on a project so-called Project Titan. Similarly, was canceled. This comes after somebody spotted on Reddit, one of the senior technical artists there. They listed tasks on the project as character weapon, prop, setup, and rigging, which is something that they also did on the Callisto Protocol, and basically said that intended to say that the project was shut down. Again, this is from the same publisher, Krafton, that has now the issues with Subnautica 2. But yeah, it seems that this studio is being marred with a lot of issues, even with the Callisto Protocol. Paul Schofield gave the indication in some interviews, even after he left the studio, that again, at the time the project, he said it needed more time. They were already marred with crunch time there on the final stages of the game, and supposedly he was given the promise that he had those extra 3 to 4 months, if not mistaken, to fine tune the game and complete the game. But then afterwards, they said they had to launch within a timeline, and then the crunch just doubled there, and it was not satisfied there. Then after the game was not that good because of the reviews. Again, the game itself, narrative wise, it ends up in a cliffhanger. So it was basically a setup for the next game. Again, Paul Scofield also said that the Callisto Protocol IP was about to be like multi-series games, so it's something that was already to be prepared as a setup for the follow-up. The game is not bad. There are some issues here and there, but I think most of them were patched. But there are some nitpicks here and there that made the game not sell that well. I'm not sure people were expecting kind of a Dead Space, even though it was marketed as a spiritual successor to that. But the combat systems are relatively different there. It's more melee combat approach more than Dead Space there. Yeah, but it's a horror survival or survival horror game, third person game. Um, the narrative is okay. I played the game. I made a series out of it, but it didn't sell well, and that's why basically a lot of people were laid off. Paul Scofield eventually left the studio. I think he's working already in other stuff as a producer of some sorts in other IPs. But yeah, this lands that afterwards, I think the studio launched a kind of roguelike game on the same universe, Callisto Protocol, which also didn't do well, if not mistaken. And supposedly they were working on this project again. I don't know what is entailed, if it was like the sequel for Callisto Protocol or something in those lines. But yeah, um, yeah, the game, this project supposedly was canceled. I don't know what they're going to do here, if they're going to restart another game, or probably the studio will be shut down. I don't know. But yeah, it's not good news here from Striking Distance Studio. It had a lot of promise, Callisto Protocol. It was a little bit underwhelming, but the game itself is okay. I did enjoy what I played from the game, even though I had some issues here and there in the series that I recorded. I mentioned those. But yeah, at a sale, I can recommend it. Usually, when it's on sale, I usually recommend it if you like those kind of games, kind of Dead Space kind of games there. But yeah, other than that, is in terms of news, is what I got for today. We got some gaming deals still happening after the summer sale. We got Alien Isolation, again, excellent game. We got a couple of days until the deal is over. Uh, this is an older game that I played, and I made a series out of it. I can recommend this fully at this price point for sure. I think it still holds up graphic wise, even though it's from 2014. I need to replay this game in 4K because the series that I made was in 1080p. Then you got Batman Arkham Collection still on sale. Again, 85% off in the free games. Got the editions on all of them with all the DLC associated with it. We've got BioShock, the collection, also pretty decent trilogy. BioShock 1 and 2 remastered versions with all the DLC plus BioShock Infinite. Again, all the content here is around 85% off. Then we got Cocoon. Seems a pretty good puzzle game. 40% off. Got also from Annapurna Interactive Journey. Again, I played this game on console a long time ago. I do recommend this. A very interesting experience indeed. We got Mudrunner, kind of a different driving games, kind of more off-road, kind of simulation, doing some deliveries here and there. It's not a racing game, but it's a very interesting concept regardless. And again, 80% off, very cheap for the base game, so you can try out. And if you like it, then you got some other DLC there to expand a little bit on the play of the game itself. Sorry. And then finally, we got Red Dead Redemption 2 still on sale in the 24th, 75% off. Again, for sure, one of these days I will try this game. Seems to be a pretty good Western open world game, very detailed and high quality. So it's one of those that I probably will try out one of these days when I have time to spend here. But yeah, basically that is it for today. I'll wrap up here with the plug on my Patreon for extra support as usual. And yeah, uh, tomorrow is my day off. It's usually my day off, Sundays. But yeah, I will see you in the next one. Hope you have a wonderful day. And until then, Kunami Master out.